All right, now let's do target I. So this is solving equations and inequalities in one variable. So for this one, I'm not gonna go all over all of them because it's pretty simple, I believe. For example, this one right here, 48 equals x minus 3. We do inverse. You add 3 on both sides, so x equals 51. Okay, I'm not gonna go over that. I might just go over this one. So first things first, always do the parentheses first, distribute first. Always distribute. So distribute here to here. And remember, so this is 20x. The negative carries over to each one. So this is negative 30x minus 20 equals 4x minus 6. Now we combine like terms here. So this is, oops. Combine like terms, 20 minus 30 is negative 10x. Minus 20 equals 4x minus 6. So we want all the x's on one side and all the numbers on the other side. So I'm going to move 10x to the other side. So remember, draw a line here so you can tell. I add 10x to both sides, and I'm going to move this 6 here to both sides, plus 6. So this cancels out. I end up with negative 14 is equal to 14x. Okay. And I divide by 14 to both sides. X equals negative 1. Okay, so we just distribute first. Now, step 2 was combine like terms. Step 3, isolate x, and then solve. Right? If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. This, I'm just gonna go over this once as well. So remember, if it says solve, we do inverse. So let's get rid of negative 15. I divide by negative 15 to both sides. Remember, if I divide or multiply by a negative number, you flip the inequality. Okay, so 45 divided by negative 15, which is negative 3. I flip my sign into less than or equal to n. Okay, just so you know, you won't be able to use a calculator here, because remember up here it shows if you can use a calculator or not. Okay, so that's it for this one. Yep. Same here, same darn thing here. Isolate the variable. Same here, isolate the variable. Okay, now this one, I don't know why some of you guys get confused here. Okay, or you're just not reading the instructions. Enter the value of b. So we are looking for b. We are isolating b when x equals 10. So b, instead of x now, I'm going to multiply it by 10 equals 20. Okay, just by thinking, you don't even have to do inverse here. What should be b? So if I multiply it to 10, is 20. So b equals 2. Okay, next. Okay, this one you guys might struggle a little bit, and that's totally fine. Value of b, and now x is negative 1 over 5, so I'm going to replace x. So this is b over negative 1 over 5 equals 20. Remember, we always want to get rid of our denominator. What's the inverse of fraction? Multiplication. So I multiply -1/5 to both sides. And I was pretty impressed with some of you who figured this out. So b is equal to, remember, when you're multiplying fractions, multiply across. So that's -20/5, which is -4. Again, you won't be able to use the calculator here. So make sure you know your times tables, or just create one when you take the test. All right, for the given equation, enter the value of c when f equals 77. Again, here, you guys, some of you also struggle here. I think it's just how it looks. It looks foreign to you guys, but really it's the same thing as what we've been doing. So we are looking for c, and f is 77. So instead of f now, I'm going to write 77 equals, so if you see here, c is in between 9 and 5. C actually belongs to 9. So we have 9c over 5 plus 32. Okay? And please don't multiply just yet. You have to subtract first. Always get rid of the ones with addition and subtraction. -32, -32. So we are left with 45 equals 9c over 5. Let's get rid of our denominator, multiply by 5. See, 45 times 5, which is, again, you won't be able to use the calculator here. So before I even multiply that, I'm going to do 5 times 45 is equal to 9c. I divide by 9, divide by 9. Okay? So let me rewrite this. We have 5 times, let me see here. Can I go lower? No. Let me move it up here. We have 5 times 45 over 9. This is the same thing as 5 times 5 times 9 over 9. Remember, cancel out the 9s, which is 25. So c equals 25. So if you, or you can just do the regular 45 times 5 thing right here, and then you just divide by 9, you should get the same number, 25. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Same thing here, example 1. Now we are just solving variables. So we are looking for a. So we are solving for a in terms of v and t. That just means a is equal to something v t. Okay, a is by itself and v and t are on the other side. So you want to isolate a. Remember, we want to get rid of fractions. You multiply to both sides by the denominator. So now we are left with 2v equals a t squared. Want a by itself. There's no plus or minus in between these two. So I'm going to divide by t squared. And that's it. So your answer is 2v over t squared. Next, same here. We did this in class, but instead of L by itself, we want W for it by itself. It's the same exact thing. So subtract 2L here. So I'm left with, these are not like terms, so you rewrite them. P minus 2L equals 2W. I want W by itself, divide by 2. So I'm left with W equals P minus 2L over 2. Okay, you can also rewrite this as PW equals P over 2 minus L. Because remember, we combine terms on top when they have the same denominator. So this is the same thing as saying P over 2 minus 2L over 2, but these two cancel out. That's why we are only left with 1L. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. So here, we are solving for n. So n squared equals 49. We should know what this is. So square root of 49 is 7. But it's a square. Remember, there's two answers, or I don't think I should tell the whole class, but if it's a square, there's two answers. Plus or minus 7. So n equals plus or minus 7. Okay, now let's do this other one here. Let's do the bottom one. So for this one right here, we have 18t squared plus 50 equals 0. So let's move 50. To the other side, I have 18t squared equals negative 50. Divide by 18. So t squared equals negative 50 over 18. And then we square root. I need more space for this one. Then you square root it. So I'm gonna delete this here. T squared equals square root of, whoops, sorry. This should be squared as well, so it cancels. Negative 50 over 18. Okay, this is plus or minus. And this is actually the same thing as square root of 50 over square root of 18. Should be negative 50. So negative 50 over square root of 18. So we do this, 25, 5 and 5. This is 2, 9 and 2, 3, 3. So then, remember our index is 2, so I'm going to circle 2 here. I'm going to go ahead and erase this side over here. To 2, remember we can factor still. So this becomes 5 square root of negative 2 over 3 square root of 2. But we cannot have a negative inside a radical. So we are going to put, this is an imaginary number. So it will be 5i, and then now there's no more negative inside. So this becomes 3 square root of 2. And so these two cancel out. So we're left with plus or minus 5i over 3. So your first solution would be positive 5i over 3 or negative 5i over 3. These two would be your solutions. Okay, so instead of doing the whole quadratic formula, you can do this here instead. Okay, this one's definitely a different one, so let me know if you have any questions. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one here. I'm only going to show you one example for this one because the second example is self-explanatory. So when we are solving for quadratics, so quadratic is anything with the x squared on it, we always want one side to be 0. So we would subtract 4x and we would combine it to the like term here, 4x here. So this becomes 0. So we end up with x squared minus 14x plus 45. Okay, so then we would do the x factor here. 45 goes on top and b, negative 14, goes on the bottom. So what multiplies to 45 and adds up to negative 14? So go ahead and pause the video to figure that out. All right, so it's negative 9 and negative 5. Two negatives become a positive, and you add them together, stays negative. So I end up with x minus 9, x minus 5 equals 0. But remember, we have to solve for each one. X minus 9 equals 0, x minus 5 equals 0. So I add 9, so this is x equals 9, or this one's x equals 5. Okay, I'm only going to show you the answer to that one. Go ahead and try example 2 on your own, and pause this right now before you see the answer. Pause this and work on it. Okay. Next is here. Consider the equation x squared plus bx plus 9 equals 0, where b is a real number and we want to plug in a number such that it has no real solution. Okay, so this is something I haven't taught you guys. This is called the discriminant. The discriminant, which is part of the quadratic formula b squared minus 4ac. If this is less than 0, that means the answer is a complex number, which is not a real solution. Okay, complex meaning it has imaginary numbers. So it just has to be 0, less than 0. So to do that, we have x squared plus bx plus 9 equals 0. So a equals 1, b equals b, c equals 9. So let's plug it in here. We don't know what b is, so it stays at b squared minus 4 here, minus 4. My a is 1, c is 9. So this all has to be less than 0. So we end up with b squared minus 36 less than 0. I add 36 to both sides. So we get b squared less than 36. So a square root, right? B is less than plus or minus 6. Okay, that's why in the answer in your packet is this: negative 6 less than b less than 6, because b is in between. It should actually look like this. B is in between negative 6 and 6. So any number you choose from B, or any number in between 6 and negative 6 is a correct answer. All right. So this is called the discriminant. It's just b squared minus 4ac. So the boy was too square that he missed out on 4 awesome chicks. So if you know that one, you get. Okay. Next one here, same thing. Okay, enter the value of k so that has no real solution, meaning we want complex solutions. That means our discriminant again must be less than 0. Okay, if it's greater than 0, then it has 2 real solutions. Yeah. So b squared minus 4ac. So let's just do this. X plus 3 squared plus k. So if you do the box method here, you would do x plus 3, x plus 3. You'll get x squared plus 6x plus 9 plus k equals 0. So now let's identify. So this is a equals 1, b equals 6, c is equal to 9 plus k. All right, now let's plug it in. So we have b squared minus 4ac. B squared is 36 minus 4 times 1 times 9 plus k less than 0. So 36 minus, so this one doesn't really matter. So we do have to distribute here. That's 36 plus 4k less than 0. So 36 minus 36, that's 0. I divide by 4. So that means k is less than 0. So any 0 that is less than k, or any number less than 0, can be used here. Okay. Or did I? Oh, sorry. It should be negative k. Oopsies. Negative 4. Negative 4 divided by a negative 4. Flip the sign. So it should actually be k greater than 0. K greater than 0. So any number greater than 0. Okay, now this one is we use the quadratic formula. So the quadratic so every time you see an I or the plus or minus, you have to use the quadratic formula. This does require memorization. You guys should have covered this freshman year, to be honest. If not, sophomore year. So this is a negative b. So x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 4, sorry, not 4, over 2a. There's a lot of videos about this on how to memorize it, so look them up on YouTube. So a equals 1, b equals 4, c equals 16. So I'm just gonna plug them in here. So this doesn't require a calculator. So the system will not give you a calculator, so you have to know this. Your multiplication. So x equals negative 4 plus or minus b squared, 4 squared minus 4 ac over 2 times 1. So this is negative 4 plus or minus square root of 16 minus 64 minus 64 over 2. Okay, so it's negative 4 plus or minus square root of 16 minus 64 is 48. Negative 48. Okay, if you see a negative inside here, immediately you should know that it has an I. So it can't be B or D. Okay, negative 48. Am I right? 60 minus 64 is negative 48 over 2. Okay, we don't want the negative there, so let me free up some space up top here. I'm gonna go back up top. So negative 4 plus or minus. So instead of negative now, I'm gonna put I in the front. I square root of 48 over 2. And I'm going to go ahead and factor out 48 so that we can simplify it. So I would put 6 times 8, 4 and 2, 2, 3, 2, 2. So I have 1 pair of 2's here and 2 pairs of 2's. So remember, that's 2 times 2, which is 4. Yeah. Is this 16 times? Am I doing this right? 4, 2, 2. Anyways, so now we have -4 plus or minus 4i squared of, what's left over? We have a 3 as a leftover. Square root of 3 over 2. Okay, I don't see any of these with a denominator. So what do? I simplify further. To simplify further, remember that to have the same denominator, to have one denominator, 2 of these terms must have the same denominator. So I'm going to separate the 2 here. -4 over 2 plus or minus 4i square root of 3 over 2. Okay, we know that -4 divided by 2 is just -2 plus or minus 4 divided by 2 is just 2i square root of 3. Okay, so it's C. So that one is a lot of work. It won't be a lot of work if you know how to do it. So just keep practicing on doing it. Again, to make things easy, you really have to work hard in doing it. Let's see. Say a C. Next is here. So equivalent equations have exactly the same solution. Select yes or no to indicate whether each equation is equivalent to this equation. All right. So let's see here. For this one, oops. Uh-oh. For this one here, let's see if we can make it so that 4x sits by itself. So I subtract 3 here. So that's 4x equals 5x, sorry, 5 over 2x minus 10. So obviously it's not this. If I were to get rid of the denominator, I have to multiply 2 to each one of these, to both sides. So that we would end up with 8x, so distribute. 8x plus 6 equals, distribute here as well, equals 5x minus 14. So no, it can't be this one, and this, we said it was. So it has to be the last one only. Okay. That's it. Next problem here. Select whether have exactly the same solution. Okay. So it can't be, well, this is the same thing as this. So that's yes. It's just the zeros on the other side. When we use the x factor, so C, 6 is on top, 5 on the bottom, 2, 3. It is the same thing as 2 plus 3, t plus 2 equals 0. So yes, this is true. This cannot be true because if I distribute it to each one, I get t squared plus 5t plus 6t, whoops, t, which is not the same as this, so no. Okay, so yes, yes, no. And last but not least here, so if I were to do this here, what they did for this first one is to factor the left side. So if you factor the left side, my C would be, A times C would be 1, 2, so it would be 1 times 1. So that's 1 y plus 1 times y plus 1, which is the same thing as y plus 1 squared. Okay, so this is the same thing as this. Equals 3 squared, which is 9. So this is true. This is not the same. And this isn't even the solution. This isn't even the problem anymore. So no, it's not the same. And I think that's it. So that should be yes, no, no. All right, if you have any questions about this one did take a little longer, but if you have any questions, let me know. Bye.